We're going to start on the pants and shoes now. So I've got the pants selected. I'm going to remove Open Subdivision for now. I'm going to convert this to editable poly to collapse the stack. And I'm going to add the skin modifier. And again, we're going to do a quick test. We're going to add all the bones real quick, just so we can make sure that there's no problems with the mesh, since we did use symmetry or mirror. And I'm going to go ahead and select the envelope for one leg, turn on vertices, and open the weight tool. So we're just going to grab a loop here, set it to 1, and then I'll select the other envelope. And if I turn on mirror mode and paste green and paste green, you can see the legs work. So we don't have a problem with the mesh. So I can turn this off. I'm just going to re-add skin, and then we'll just quickly add the bones we need. Okay, so let's have a look at what we need here. We're going to need everything from the spine down. So that's spine 1. The pelvis is under there. We've got both upper legs, both calves, and then we could add the first foot bone. We don't need the toe. We'll just add the first foot bone, so when the character rotates the foot, we can control the pants a bit. Alright, so let's add the bones. I'm going to go under cat rig, and I'm going to go through here and click what I need. So I've got the left calf, the left foot, and the left thigh. And then we've got, keep going down, the right foot, the right thigh, and the right, not the toe, we don't need the toe. We need the right calf. Then we're going to grab spine 1, and we're going to make sure we've got the pelvis. Then we can click select. So we've got left calf, foot and thigh, the pelvis, right calf, foot and thigh, and spine 1. And that's all we should need for the pants. Alright, so we can set up animation and test the skin. So we'll go into our motion panel. I don't need these animation layers in here, but just in case I need to go back, I'll leave them. And at frame 0, I'm going to add another one. So we could be naming these layers, by the way. Under name, I'm going to have this pants skin test. Okay, this way we know. You can always turn these off. You can set the global weight to 0. So if I set this right now, if I scrub the timeline, if I right click and 0 out the weight of that layer, I'll see the layer underneath it. Alright, so this one, I'm going to go ahead and name these right now. Let's start organizing this stuff. This is going to be hands skin test. Then I'll go to frame 0, set that to 0 on the global weight. This one here was for the spine or body, so we'll do body skin test. Make sure you hit enter. You can see I didn't hit enter on this one, so it didn't save it. And then the very first layer was for the arm, so let's rename that one too. Arm skin test. Hit enter. Okay, we can set that we can't set the base layer to 0, but we can go back to the pants, set that to 100, and that one will be on top. Okay, so I didn't set any animation yet. Animation mode is turned on. I'm going to turn on auto key, and I'm going to grab the IK target because the leg should be an IK. We'll go to frame 10, and we'll just test his leg lifting. Okay, I'm just going to pull it up as far as I would need to pull it up. You can also rotate the foot up like this. We'll just do a test on the pants. So the pants actually look pretty good. Those extra edge loops we put in here are working out fine. And I'll do another one at frame 20 where I'll do the opposite. We'll bring it back. Okay, so watch the IK when I come through here. I'm going to have to rotate this. And we'll just go something like that. Okay, so notice how there's no in between, so it just flips through. So a better thing to do there would have been to go to frame 15 and move it through like this first. So I'm going to add that extra in between here just to make sure the leg goes right through. There we go. So there's not too much we're going to have to do with this. This looks pretty good already. But I'm going to click on the pants and we'll right click and isolate. And we'll just see how we can improve around the base here. So let's add open subdivision back in. We'll set the iterations to 2. And you can see where it's kind of collapsing in here. So let's try fixing this with the envelopes first. So I'm going to grab the envelope here and we're going to do the same thing we did with the arm. I'm just going to try to adjust these capsules. So right now I'm adjusting the outer capsule on the knee and it's taking weight off the calf, but this envelope here is probably picking up too much here. So we're going to have to move that one down as well. So you can see how that fixes the knee without even using the weight tool. And again, you can grab the envelope and you can move it back and forth a little bit. Make sure you're set to local. And that's actually pretty good. Can turn on show end result. If I wanted to tweak that any further, I would just use the weight tool. But I'm actually going to leave that the way it is now. And then we'll go here and check this area out here around the pelvis. So this one we're going to have to pull up a bit. We are going to have to use the weight tool because we don't want weight on the other leg at all. So I'm going to check the pelvis as well. You can always pull the pelvis out. So the pelvis bone, I'm actually going to leave this in like that. You can see if I pull this back, it fixes that muscle area on the upper leg. So if I pull this side in, I'm going to hit L to go to the left view. I'm going to make sure I pull the other capsule in the same amount. So I can't mirror this capsule because it goes from left to right across the symmetry plane. But I'm making sure that both sides of the capsule are the same size. So if I turn on show end result, we can have a look at this. Okay, so that's pretty good for the leg. That's how Bob's leg should bend pretty much. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tweak the knees a bit and then I'm going to remove weight from the other side. So we can turn off show end result for now. Make sure vertices is checked and then we're going to go down and open up our weight tool. You can pretty much weight the knee the same as the fingers. So I'm going to go back to 0 and we can make sure that this loop on this side of the calf is set to 1 and this loop on the upper thigh is set to 0. And then I'll select the envelope for the upper thigh. Make sure this one is set to 0 and this one is set to 1. Okay, again, if I scrub through, turn on show on result. This is pretty much what our knee is going to look like with the geometry we've put in. You can always tweak this by selecting some of these vertices at the back. Might go right up to the side just like we did with the finger. You can do the back and the front, and you can tap weight back and forth. So I would turn on show on result to see what's happening, but you can see here it's just adjusting the crease area. But this is fine. I'm going to leave the knee the way it is. I don't think I'm going to adjust anything at the base right now. I think the pants look good at the bottom. Alright, so on this side I'm going to go to the front view and I'm going to remove weight from the opposite leg. So I'm going to grab all the verts in here and make sure that these are set to 0. And then I'm going to check on the calf. Just make sure there's no weight on the other leg. You don't want this bone pulling on the opposite side. Alright, so with those weights set, you can see the color on the envelope. Everything up here was working fine. We're going to go to the mirror mode. I'll click on the opposite envelope just to make sure it works. We're going to paste green to blue bones and green to blue verts, and then everything is mirrored. Alright, so that's the pants skinned. I'm going to right click, end isolate, and we'll check the shoes. So I'll turn off auto key. I'm going to select the shoes, and we're going to add, first again we're going to delete open subdivision. We're going to collapse the stack, so just convert it to editable poly. And we're going to add skin. And we're going to add our bones, and we'll just do a quick test again because I think we might have an issue with these since we did them the same way as the hands, where we mirrored a shoe over and attached them. So I'm just going to do a quick test. Grab some envelopes here. You can even right click and isolate these. Alright, so we'll just grab an envelope, select some verts. Just doing a quick test. So first of all, I've got vertices turned on and I can't grab all the verts. Okay, so that's a first problem. If we turn on show hidden verts, we can grab the verts. So I'm going to grab 2 vertices. I'm going to hit loop in the weight tool. Right, so I'm just setting these middle verts to 1. If I select the other foot, turn on mirror mode, copy and paste, it doesn't work. Alright, so we're going to try resetting the X form. I'm going to turn off mirror mode, delete the skin modifier, and we're going to go through the troubleshooting process here. So I'm going to go to hierarchy, effect pivot only. We're going to reset the pivot. You can see it ends up over here. I'm going to click center to object. We're going to go to the utilities and reset X form. Okay, so reset selected. We'll go to the modify panel, and you can see the X form is now centered. So we're going to try this first. So let's convert this to editable poly. Again, I always double check that the normals didn't flip when I reset the X form, so everything's good here. Now we'll add the skin modifier again and see if mirror is going to work. So we have to unhide everything, just end isolate. Gonna click add and go to the bones, just do a quick add of everything. Just want to make sure it works. I'll isolate this. Whoops. There we go. And then make sure verts is turned on, go to the weight tool, and looks like I still can't grab all the verts, so we might have to export this one and bring it back, but we'll try it out. I'm going to turn on show hidden verts. We'll grab a loop, set it to 1. Go to the other side, turn on mirror mode, and try copying and pasting. It didn't work. Okay, so we're having that issue with the hidden verts where everything's getting messed up with the vertices again. So I'm going to do what I had to do with the shirt, where I'm going to export the model out as an OBJ and bring it back in, and that should clear any issues that we're having with this. Okay, so this is like a glitch with 3ds Max. I'm not sure what's actually causing this. I just know that if we export this as an OBJ and bring it back in, we can get rid of that error. Okay, so let's delete skin. I'm just going to take these shoes and go up to File, Export Selected, and I've got the Bob shirt file saved out. This is going to be Bob shoes. I'm going to click Save. Make sure it's an OBJ. You can turn off Export Material and create library. Set to Mudbox. Click Export and Done. And then you can just delete these shoes, and that'll end isolation mode. And then I'm going to import the shoes I just exported. So there's Bob's shoes. Going to click Import. So it brings it in as editable mesh. I'm going to convert it to editable poly. And we're going to do another quick test here. So I'm going to go to, you can actually first of all go to Hierarchy, Effect Pivot Only, and center it back to the middle here, because it changes the pivot point on export. Then we'll go back to the Modify panel, add the skin modifier, and we'll do a quick test again. So turning on envelopes and verts, we can isolate the shoes, open up the weight tool. Okay, so already I can see I can now select the verts without turning on show hidden verts, so that's good. I'm going to hit loop, set these ones to 1. I'll select the opposite envelope and mirror. Okay, so now everything works. Alright, so you can see that trick of exporting and re-importing fixes any weird mesh errors we're getting with skin. Okay, so I could go through again, I could remove the bones in here. I'm just going to delete skin and add it back on, and isolate. So this time we're just going to add the bones for the feet, the toes, and just the calf bone. So that's all you need for the shoes. So I'm going to click Add. I'm going to go through and pick out the left calf, and then the left foot and toe, and then just the right calf, the right foot, and the toe. Okay, so left calf, foot and toe, right calf, foot and toe. And then we can adjust the skin. So we're going to set up another animation. So I'll just grab the foot. We'll go up to our cat layer manager. And at frame 0, I'm going to add another ABS layer. So we can call this one foot skin test. Hit enter. Going to turn on auto key. And I'm just going to go to frame 10 and bend the foot. Oops, so we need to use the IK target for that. I'll just lift the leg up a bit, and then we'll bend the foot. Okay, so I'm going to bend the foot back because this is where I'm going to see the most issues with the heel, and then I'll bend the toe forward. Okay, so you can see the biggest problem we're having is with the bottom of the heel, and then just maybe this area in here. So we can isolate the foot. Whoops, make sure you've got the right part selected. So I'm going to select the mesh, isolate selection, and you can go to frame 10 where we bent it, and we'll start trying to fix this. First, I'm going to turn off auto key, and we're going to try doing this with the envelopes. So if I grab this outer capsule, you can see this isn't really helping us. If I grab the inner capsule, this is kind of fixing the shape of the shoe. So I'll just pull that one out. There's a vertex in the middle that needs to be weighted to 1. So I'm going to definitely have to select that. And then I'll have a look down here. Okay, so these 3 edge loops we put in for the toe roll. I'm going to grab the outer capsule, just start pushing this back, and then I'll select the toe envelope and make the outer capsule smaller on this side. So you can turn on, or you can add open subdivision, set it to 2 iterations, and this is what the shoe looks like so far. So I'll go back to my envelopes. I'm going to click on the foot bone here. Okay, so you can also grab the leg envelope and check that out. So this might be a little too big. So you can move this up from the bottom of the capsule, and it takes the weight off the bottom of the heel. Okay, so there's still a little bit of weight here I want to remove. So I'm going to do the rest of this with the weight tool. And I'm going to grab this part of the foot. We'll open up the weight tool, and I'll select the verts, and I'm just going to grab this vert in the middle here and make sure it's set to 1. You can also select the leg bone and make sure it's set to 0, but you can see it is. And there's even a couple of verts underneath here. I might just grab these like that and set them to 0. Okay, so the leg shouldn't really be pulling on this part of the shoe. So I'm going to grab all of these down here and set them to 0. And if you wanted to, you could grab the top couple of verts here on the shoe where the leg's kind of pulling the shoe up, and you could tap the minus sign on set weight and just kind of push those back to the shoe. Okay, so that fixes most of the shape of the shoe. I'm going to go down here and check the envelopes for the foot and the toe. So this should pretty much be like the fingers again. It's the way we set it up. I'm going to grab these 2 loops. If I set those to 1, you can see how it fixes the shape of the toe. And then I'll grab the loop in the middle, set it to 0.5. So I'm treating it just like the fingers here, and the elbow and the knee. So I'm going to grab this loop here and hit 0. And then I'll check the foot bone, and I'll make sure that it's not pulling on the bottom of the toe. And just double check that the middle loop here is set to 0.5. So the only other thing we can do is we can grab the verts on the top of the shoe on this middle edge loop. We'll go to about the side here, and then if we keep this bent, we can even turn on show end result. We can tap weight back and forth here. Okay, so this is just blending the crease in the middle again. The last thing I'll do is I'll make sure I click each envelope, and I'll just select all the verts on the other shoe. These should be set to 0. Okay, so this leg, these bones should not be affecting that shoe at all. So I'm going to click each envelope and hit 0 and 0 out the weights on the opposite shoe. So I can close the weight tool. I should be able to mirror this now. If I click on the envelope on the other side. I'm going to open up mirror mode and I'm going to paste green and paste green, and it worked. So I do see the weights on this side of the shoe are still being affected by this side. So I'm just going to double check what's going on. So I'm just going to open up the weight tool and manually remove those verts one more time. So I'm going to do this on both sides. We'll hit 0. Okay, so these ones were picked up by the weight tool somehow. So we'll just 0 them out. I'm going to turn off mirror mode. Okay, so we grab these ones here, we'll hit 0, and then that should be good. Both sides are the same. Okay, so we can get out of the weight tool, we can go back up to skin, we can right click and end isolate, and the pants and the shoes are pretty much done now. Okay, so we'll do one more test, check the skin, and that looks pretty good. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is skin the head, and then the character is pretty much skinned.